we have Hao Hong, Chief Economist at Grow Investment Group. He joins us live from Hong Kong. Welcome to the show. Now, they say that, the devil is in the details, and China's various statements so far are lacking just that, details. Now, add to that, there's no direct support for consumers with vouchers, for example. So what will this approach actually achieve economically?
Yeah. Well, I think people need to be a little bit more patient. This year, the situation is quite complicated, because the foreign demand for Chinese exports has been declining, right? Because the foreign economies are slowing. So, China has to rely on its own domestic demand, for growth this year. But then, property is still ailing, and also the Chinese consumers, after 3 long years of pandemic, they're trying to save hard. Right. So I think as a result, we had an initial rebound of domestic consumption in the first couple of months, and then, we sort of slowing down once again. So I think right now the policy is coming from a very top high level, and we should be able to see some more details in the coming weeks.
I want to get your take on what you're making of most of China's stimulus being focused on the supply side rather than the demand.
Yeah, I think because the supply side is easier to pump, because once you release credit, and also, right now, because most of the entities who are borrowing from banks are very large SOEs, right? So if you want to stimulate your economy, it's much easier to stimulate from the supply side. And then on the demand side, even though just now you pointed out that there hasn't been any news on a consumption coupon front, but there has been, for example, easing of property purchase restriction, lowering home loan rates and all that, right? So trying to help consumers to recuperate. So it is not like, we're not doing nothing, but it's just that, it takes time for the policies to show effect. And also, I think the situation that we're confronting right now, it's not something that we're very familiar with.
Yeah. Now, the rest of the world is struggling to tame inflation. China is at risk of falling into a deflationary trap that could make it even harder to spark that much needed growth. So what are the top things that you feel China can do to stimulate growth?
Yeah, I think if we can do consumption coupon, it would be great. But I think, this idea has been vetoed by the top, reason being, it raised concerns about fairness, fairness of distribution of welfare, in the society, where only 86 million people are paying income tax, right? So for most of the people, we have no idea. We have not accurate, concrete ideas about, how much they're making and all that. Right? So it makes the consumption coupon distribution much more difficult. And I think right now, because there are so much excess savings in the Chinese banking system. So it's not that, the Chinese consumers don't have the money to spend. It's really, they don't have the confidence to spend.
That's interesting. Now, China is also struggling with various factors like record youth unemployment, the ongoing property crisis, and of course, there's that trade spat with the US rather. Is it really all doom and gloom, or do you in fact see some bright spots on the horizon?
It is not all doom and gloom. I mean, obviously, the economic cycle, is trying to bottom out, right? So, in the first quarter, we did have sequential improvement in the economic growth and many other areas. I think in the second quarter, we continue to see some marginal improvement, but the pace and the momentum seems to be decelerating. I mean, that's concerning, because what we thought is that, going into the second quarter, because of the very low base from last year, we should be able to show, very strong GDP growth. But, instead, we're not seeing a print nearly as high as we expecting, right? So that raised some concerns. And that is why policy now is in fast action. The different government agencies trying to roll out different policies targeting different areas of the economy. But, once again, it takes time for the policy to show result. And also, from a market perspective, we would like to see more detail, some numbers attached, to the policy, saying, how much the government is willing to spend.
No, really appreciate you coming on board and speaking with us. And for your insights there, we want to thank Hao Hong. He is the chief economist from Grow Investment.
Great to be here.
Well, one sec.